Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Sox On Tap.
Tony, my first reaction is just, fuck yes, let's go.
Sox versus Richmond. That's where it all starts. It all starts taking care of business in-house in the Central Division.
That's right, I'm a meatball.
You got to bring that top button swag, baby.
It is always great to beat the Cubs.
And I'm a homer, so I always say they're gonna.
Dallas Keuchel, Lancelin got some beards that you should be afraid of.
What everybody said when he gets out there, it's me versus the other guy, and I'm going to beat him. So I just love that mentality. It's cool and fucking tough.
Steve, would you say that Tony is mad online?
I would definitely say that.
The White Sox winner.
Hello, White Sox fans, and welcome into a Friday night fun edition of Sox on Tap. I'm Tony Marchese tonight. I'm joined by both NWI Steve and Sean Roberts. Boys, we're talking about a White Sox winner here tonight on a Friday night. The beers are flowing, at least for me. I don't know about you guys, but flowing for me. Oh, we got to crack them from Steve. And,
water for me.
Sean's on the water, but it's a White Sox winner, and we know that victory beer tastes better. Be sure you're going to ontapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. You can follow us at Sox on Tap on Twitter, myself at Tony on Tap, NWI Steve at NWI_Steve, and I believe, Sean, your handle is at Sean23 Roberts. I might have gotten that wrong, but please correct me.
You're good.
Okay. Wow. I can't see the full handle there in the screen, so that's what I'm normally going off of. Guys, we have a White Sox winner to talk about tonight. It was an interesting ball game. There was a lot of back and forth. I'll go to Steve first for his initial reactions, and I'll turn it over to you, Sean.
Hey, yo, boys. I only have one question to ask. Is Yaz hashtag back?
Sean, what do we got?
I would like to hope so. The White Sox need him to be back. Looked good at the plate. Liked his approach tonight. Got very 2020, 2021 Yaz tonight. And it was nice to see. It was refreshing to see. You could also throw Yohan Moncada. You go back to that eighth inning with his base hit. I like the play out of Josh Harrison. I even said earlier on in our group chat, some of his base running stuff. I like, coaching up Jake on that play at the plate. Liked what I saw from him tonight. Just overall good stuff. Had a kind of a bullpen. What do they call it? An opener. A Lopener is what Benetti was calling Lopez tonight. Liked what I seen out of Ronaldo. I kind of like this. If this is something that they want to try and do moving forward. Yeah, good win. Good White Sox fucking win.
Excellent, guys, and those are the initial reactions. We're going to get into a few White Sox topics before we get into the full baseball game. A couple little news bits just to run through here. Guys, I know that there was a lot of topics yesterday about an intentional walk. We're going to get to that. Some of the reactions, I'll give you guys a little chance to sound off at some point during the show on that topic. Johnny and I kind of gave our thoughts yesterday, but I'm sure you guys have opinions on that. Lance Lynn is expected back on Tuesday. That's exciting. We'll go to you guys on that right now. Steve, Lance Lynn coming back next Tuesday is the projected start date. Give me your thoughts on the big boy coming back. You've done a ton of investigative research on this particular human. What are your thoughts?
It's going to be real good to have guts and nuts hashtag back in the rotation every 5 days. You want to see the big boy get back out there, going out there, just taking to some slap dick motherfuckers, and dare I say, setting the tone with a little bit of intensity.
Yeah,
I kind of think maybe that might be the kick or that might be the shot in the arm that this team needs a little bit here. So
there we go.
Get the big boy back there.
Love it, Sean. What do we got?
Everything that Steve just said there, I think it solidifies the rotation. You're adding more depth. There's nothing wrong with more pitching. Lance Lynn obviously is a huge part of the success to this team, and not having him up until this point has it showed. But yeah, obviously, if you're a White Sox fan, you need to be excited about this, and hopefully the reinforcements are coming. And this is the beginning of that, and we don't know Eloy's status and everything with him, but this is step one, and it's gonna be nice to have the big bastard on the mound, man, because it brings that toughness, it brings that FU mentality that I think is missing from this team right now.
Love the thoughts, guys. I'm excited. I know Johnny's excited. He called me today while he was on the road. And he's like, the ZZ Top's going to be playing soon. I haven't been able to listen to a lot of ZZ Top since Lance Lynn's been on the IL, just because it pains me to think about how cool and tough Lance Lynn is. So I'm excited for this. I think it's going to set a different mood in the Marchese household when I'm, rocking out to some ZZ Top on Lance Lynn Day Tuesday. Boys, we have some rather sad news. I don't know if it's sad news for you guys, but it feels like I've had my heart taken from me. My guy, my baby boy, as hashtag Southside Clown Show has dubbed it. It was mentioned in far too many tweets today. I haven't responded to this at all yet, but my guy Gavin Sheets, an individual who wished me a happy birthday and promised me so many fireworks this year, was sent down to Charlotte today. It's just painful. It's just painful for me. Guys, I'll go to you before I give my thoughts on Gavin Sheets being sent down before today's ball game for Jimmy fucking Lambert.
Anthony, we like to think of ourselves as family around here at Sox on Tap. So consider this a trust tree of sorts. It's a safe place. I understand you probably have a lot of emotions and maybe a little bit of sorrow about the news today. Your baby boy obviously having his struggles out there. It's got to be tough for you as a parent to have to watch this firsthand and know that there's nothing that you can do. But just know that the rest of us here at the Sox on Tap family, we're here to help you during this grieving process.
Needed to fucking happen. I'll leave it at that. I love you, Tone, but it needed to happen. I even suggested it earlier this week in the group chat, and I felt a very defensive text back, like, "Well, who's gonna play in the outfield?" Well, we got 7 of them, but no, it needed to happen. He'll be back up. This isn't like he's gonna figure it out, and he'll be back up. He wasn't doing anything, and I mean, Gavin would be the first one to tell you.
Yeah, I feel like as I guess he's my baby boy. I don't know if that makes me his dad or not, but it's just interesting right here because I've been disappointed. Sometimes your kid just ain't out there doing it, and you got to give the tough love. I manage my son. He was out on the mound today. He gave up 5 runs in the first inning. You got to give him the tough love. Steve, I know your family, so you're sitting there going like, all right, we got some work to do. And yeah, we do. We do have some work to do with Gavin Sheets. It was interesting. Johnny called me about the Lynn thing. And, the next thing I said to him was, wow, Gavin Sheets, like I got that hard news this morning. And he's like, oh, don't worry. Like Charlotte's a launching pad. He's going to go back down there. He's going to launch a couple 2-tree bombs. He's going to get back in this thing. And then, you've got that. You saw that last year with Gavin. I think that there's a sophomore slump that everybody knows about in baseball. And I think Gavin's feeling that right now. It's the ball's not flying off his bat the way it should be. He's not getting the same pitches that he did last year when there wasn't a scouting report on him. So it's time to go back down. It's time to figure it out. Yeah, it's hard. But I think overall, guys, like Gavin might be my second favorite player behind Dion Viciedo.
Tank.
So
love that man.
I think he'll figure it out. He'll work it out. He'll be back up here, and I'm going to bank on some clutch home runs from Gavin Sheets down the stretch for the Chicago White Sox this season.
Quick.
I've got to manifest it though. Sean, go ahead, real quick.
No, just real quick. Is Nani just like a 24-hour like therapist on call? Like if anyone needs to talk to somebody, just call Nani.
No, Nani's not the 24-hour therapist on call. He's normally editing stuff for people at On Tap Sportsnet.
Because I'm just going to start calling Nani like, hey, man, I need to talk to you.
No, you call Buzz for that. That's what you call
Okay.
Buzz for. If you need a main,
Buzz and I, by the
You
way,
you gotta call the star child. You know, you gotta get the juju. Out
yeah,
there.
if you need a main, call Buzz.
Hey,
at On
listen,
Tap.
Buzz and I had a phenomenal show last week.
You
We
guys
we
did.
had some fun, man.
You
We had
guys
some
did.
fun.
You guys did. Like I want to get past the whole Gavin Sheets being sent down thing, and there was one thing that happened today that I'm very thankful for, and that's the White Sox winning a ball game. So let's get into this. We've got some comments in here from Scott Moreno. The White Sox used an opener today of Reynaldo Lopez, and
Opener.
yeah, the Lopener. I'm not a big fan of the opener. I don't know why, but there's a lot of stat guys out there that just love the opener. I'm hoping one of you can explain it for me. But Scott Moreno in here, why was Lopez only going 2 innings at most anymore? Been like that all year. Thought he was all right at long relief last year. Obviously, he starts this ball game, he gets the job done. But give me some thoughts on Raylo, the opener.
I mean, it worked well tonight. He went out there. The stuff was good. It was crisp. It was playing up a little bit more. He was 97, 98 consistently with the fastball. Slider, I think, was a little bit tighter than what we've seen in recent outings. So he went out there and he did a tremendous job of that first 2 innings, going up there, throwing up a couple of zeros against the Texas Rangers, and a very top-heavy lineup that team has, keeping them off the board. And part of the rationale behind the opener is you usually like to see, if it's a left-hand pitcher kind of start things off, then you go to a righty. So you kind of do the opposite handedness thing to kind of try to create a little bit of a platoon advantage. And then also for your bulk guy, in this case, Davis Martin, you want to limit his exposure to the heart of the Texas Rangers lineup. And I think particularly for a guy like him, this is his 3rd major league appearance. So anything that you can do to kind of put him in a better position to be successful, especially after that last start he had in Tampa, got roughed up, gave up the 4 runs in the first inning. So that might have played into it a little bit with the thought process of utilizing Raylo in that spot in the opener there. But it worked really well because then Davis went out there and gave you 5 quality innings, and the stuff looked pretty good, looked crisp. And he has equated himself very nicely outside of obviously that 4-run first inning in Tampa. He looks like a guy that is a competent major league starting pitcher potentially.
Going to be serviceable. Going to be serviceable. And you brought up the Rays, and the Rays are the king of the opener. They kind of, I don't know if you want to call it, they started it. They might have. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know they do it. And I think it works. To answer the question about Ronaldo only going 2, I mean, that is his role this year. That is his role. He has a solidified role. It is, you're the guy that if you got to come in the 4th, you come in the 4th, you get to the 6th. If you come in the 5th, you go 5th, maybe go through the 6th. He's your 2-inning guy. He won't be anything more than that this year unless there's some sort of crazy emergency. And I'm okay with that because he's succeeding. And when you have success, you keep rolling with that. And I said it in the beginning of the year when this was a thing. I think you're seeing a good Reynaldo Lopez here because he knows what he needs to go and do. And there's no pressure on him at all. And so, yeah, you get your 2 innings, and then Martin comes in, like Steve said, 5 quality innings. Can't ask for much more than that. Leave the game. Anytime you leave a game with your team having a chance to win, Lopez, Martin, that's a good night right there.
It absolutely is, guys. You guys broke that down excellently here on the Sox on Tap postgame show. Let's get to some offense from the White Sox. They will go out in the 2nd inning and put a run on the board. How important is it for you guys that the Sox score first in ball games? Steve, your thoughts, and we'll go to Sean.
Well, I think statistically, I can't remember what the number is, but teams that score first win. I'm going to say it's like 2/3 of the games out there. So anytime you can be the team that gets on the scoreboard first to put the pressure on the opposition to play catch up, that's huge. And we've seen with this White Sox group all season, their inability to put together quality offensive at bats on a consistent basis and be able to score runs with regularity. Being able to do that and kind of take some of that pressure off of the pitching staff, especially in a situation when you are utilizing an opener and then going to an inexperienced guy like Davis Martin to be your bulk guy in a particular game. allowing them to go out there and pitch with a lead is pretty important. So that's the type of thing that you want to see a little bit more of. We saw that pretty regularly last year, and that was part of the reason why this team won as many games as they did and why they were one of the top offensive teams in all of baseball last year. So hopefully now maybe the tide can turn a little bit and the pendulum can swing back that way and get this team going.
Yeah, I'm with Steve on there. I think when you score first and what you see with the White Sox, this is a team that obviously we all see it on a nightly basis. When the offense isn't clicking, what do? They press, and they press awful. Like, it's bad. When you get out to that early lead, it takes that pressure off a little bit. I think the guys can take a deep breath and go, hey, we're going to score some runs tonight. Look what we got on the board early. We got one. Let's keep it going. When they're not scoring runs, and then it's just the universe telling us, okay, we're going to be 1 for like 55 with bases loaded, and and it's just all negative thoughts. And Tony, you're the king of trying to keep the negative thoughts out of the group chat, but it's extremely difficult at times. But no, I think getting off to a lead early, pitchers go out there, they can pitch with a lead, little pressure off them. But I think from an offensive standpoint, it really stops the boys from pressing.
Yeah, and it's just, Sean, you bring up a few key points here. It's really hard for me to try and keep negative thoughts out of my own mind, right? Like it's easy enough in today's day and age to just,
I do it on the group chat, so I don't have to do it on twitter.com.
Yeah, it's hard.
Steve handles Twitter. Steve handles Twitter. I'll handle the group chat.
It's hard. It's hard. And like, guys, I'll just throw this out here, and this is very general, and that's why I asked the question. You guys watch other sports, and I know, Steve, like, you love the Chicago Bears and the Matt Nagy era, and let's be positive.
That's my head coach.
Yeah. So, and just even further from that, you guys both watched the Chicago Blackhawks run in Chicago for a while, and you talk about team scoring first. And we had a comment from Voodoo just a minute ago, like Eddie Olczyk agrees, scoring first is good. For the White Sox offense, I feel, and this, I'm not backing this with stats at all, but I feel like we've been chasing a lot of ball games. And even when I say chasing a lot of ball games, even if you come out to an early lead, they've given it up. So there's some momentum things that go along with this. But when you have the early lead, the Sox offense seems to battle just a little bit harder. Mm-hmm. And I don't know yet, because we haven't seen a lot of stats up until this point this year, but I know it was a thing last year. When the Sox have a 3-run lead in the 6th inning or wherever that is, momentum is important. I don't think it's talked about in baseball as much as it is in football, in hockey especially. Talk about ice tilt. Who's putting the pressure on first? When the White Sox jump out to an early lead, I feel like the results are better. Obviously, if you want to look at the recency bias, you can point back to yesterday. It didn't work out. But today I felt like it worked in their favor, because I've watched enough White Sox baseball games where you're chasing, you come back, you tie it, and you can't quite get there. Tonight, it felt like the White Sox were the aggressor in the baseball game. And I think that that's important. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, or you've been on a baseball field before. If you're the aggressor, I feel like you're going to win the ball game, or at least you have a better shot to.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Again, it just comes back to playing with a lead. When you have that lead and when you are that team that strikes first, your opposition has to come to you. They have to play catch up. So whether it's 1 run or 4 runs, that's something that they know in the back of their mind. Okay, we have to outscore you now. Whereas if you are that team that gets on the board first, not that you can coast, but ultimately you have to, the opposition has to come to you at that point. And, Anthony, you talk about the momentum in some of the other sports and everything. And I mean, just look at it. How many times does it happen out there when, Justin Fields throws an interception on the first series, and then the next thing you know, the Bears are losing. I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah. I look at it. I don't know how much college baseball you guys watch, but today Notre Dame took on Tennessee, right? on my radio show today, we had Kyle Peterson on, who is the broadcaster for ESPN College Baseball. He went in and he flat out said today that he believes this Tennessee team, who's the number one team in the country, is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, college baseball team he's ever seen in person. And Notre Dame goes in today, and what do they do? They get up 8-1, right? In a hostile environment, they put all the pressure on the quote unquote best team in college baseball ever, right? Not saying that Notre Dame's going to win the series. They ended up winning the game, I believe, 8-6. But you talk about putting that pressure on early, and all of a sudden you get smacked in the face a little bit, right? You're like, oh, wasn't expecting that. Wasn't expecting the Sox to get out to a 1-0 lead so early. Now you put the pressure on the other team.
It's important, and I think it's just worth noting here. You go a couple more innings into this ball game, the Rangers are able to tie it up in the 5th and then go out to a 2-1 lead in the 6th inning. And this is where I feel like one of the most important plays in this game happened. And it was a sequence here, but Luis Roberts able to get himself on base. And yeah, like when I'm watching this, I'm like, man, you could have just grounded into a double play there. You wind up on base, he steals second, steals third. Take me through, just for both of you, what's your impression on what Luis Robert means to this Chicago White Sox team at this moment, and how much this play or his play impacted this baseball game?
Well, we see he's a type of guy that can impact the game in a number of different ways. You look at a guy and contrast him with someone like Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn's really only going to impact the White Sox positively with the bat. Luis Robert has been struggling offensively since he came back from his COVID stint. The slash line is not pretty. The at-bats have not been great. A lot of first pitch swinging at sliders down and away from him. But he shows that today. He gets on base, and he's got one of those great 5 tools. He's got the speed to be able to go out there and steal second base, then does it again at third base, forces an errant throw, and ends up scoring on a throwing error. That's the type of thing that speed can do. It can create opportunities for you as a team. And the White Sox have actually been one of the most efficient base stealing teams in the entire league. They're, I want to say, like 85 or 86% efficiency rate in terms of stolen bases. And that's actually tops in the league, according to the stat that I saw earlier today. And so it kind of feels like that is something that they really should incorporate into their game and into their offensive approach a little more, just because of the fact that they're not hitting the ball out of the ballpark with consistency this year. But that was just a prime example of what having speed and having that added dimension to your game can do. And Luis Roberts showed that tonight.
Yeah, and he's not like, I think with Luis, obviously, okay, center field, defense is always going to be there. He's always going to play a great center field. And when he's not hitting the ball out of the ballpark, or he's not driving doubles or anything, that's, Steve, you hit it on that. Like he has a dynamic there where, okay, if he's struggling at the dish as far as, barreling stuff up, getting on base for him is so important, and so important for this team because of what he can do on the base paths. So if he can get on first base, whether it's walk or beating out a double play, whatever the case is, that's a game changer. Now the defense, we talked about pressure, right? Now the defense has the pressure on him. The pitcher has the pressure on him because Luis is going to move. He's going to go, and it's only a matter of time till he goes. So if he can steal second base, boom, all of a sudden, even with 2 outs or whatever the case is, you have a guy that is now in scoring position and wasn't supposed to be there, right? And then he steals third, and he's one of the best in the league at stealing third base. It's fascinating how well he is at stealing third base, but it's a different dynamic that, yes, it makes him extremely important for this team, even if he's not hitting.
93.5% per the TV, number 1 in the MLB. That's the White Sox stats while stealing. And that's largely driven by Luis Robert, Tim Anderson, and Adam Engel.
Yep.
Unreal. Guys, if the White Sox aren't going to hit home runs at the rate that we want them to, ball go far, team go far, I feel like the next coolest and toughest thing that they can do just be tests on the base paths. The White Sox have had so many stats thrown up on my television that are hashtag bad and annoying. When Luis Robert fucking steals a base and they throw up like best in the MLB, you're stealing. that's why availability matters. That's why Steve is talking about in his articles, like Tim Anderson not being here is going to be a problem. I'm not saying that, the offense has been fine. Surprisingly, who would have fucking thought? Like, look at us. Bring up that meme. Look at us. Who would have thought that we're scoring this many runs without Tim Anderson in the offense? Steve, I can't wait to give you shit about that next time I see you. But like, stealing bases is something that the White Sox should do more often because they're so good at it. And when you get Luis Robert on base, that's why I don't want him to chase the slider as much as he does. If you can learn to walk just a little bit more, get on, all of a sudden you're on third base. I think it was NBC White Sox talk that tweeted.
Great Twitter account, by the way.
Scott Podsednik gets on base. Luis Robert does. Steve. Yeah, Steve's got some thoughts here. I'll go to you. But like the stolen base, lost art. I think the stolen base is #back. At least for the White Sox,
because they need
good
it.
At it.
Yeah. They need it. They need to create something.
The biggest issue though is that I've reached out to multiple sources here, and they are indicating that you can't, in fact, steal first base. It has not been #confirmed.
You got to get on base, so then you
could walk.
That would help.
You could walk.
That's what drives me nuts about Yasmani Grandal. If he was fast, he'd be fucking lethal.
Be a phenomenal leadoff hitter, wouldn't he?
I want but guys, just off topic, that's what I want Yohan Moncada to be. The guy that can have that plate approach, get on base, and steal like Luis Robert. Because he would be just unreal.
The training staff would be out there every 3 games. Steve, what is the
wow?
What is
shots fired?
Do we have like some sort of like meatball that we can hover over, Sean? We clip this moment right here.
Listen, love Yohan. Talk about it all the time. Love Yohan, but we can have a whole podcast on that. Steve, what is it? What do you say with Luis? #take pitch challenge, or
yeah, Luis Robert take a pitch challenge.
like come on, man. Like I still play in a wood bat league, right? Like I love swinging at the first pitch, but I also know situations. And if you go the 2 guys in front of you swing at the first pitch, you need to take something. You can't just swing. Right.
That's what was so frustrating. That first inning there, you have Pollock lead the game off with a base hit. Andrew Vaughn works a walk, and then Robert's going out there immediately trying to swing out of his shoes first pitch. And
it's a double play, right?
Yeah. So that's where it's, the age-old saying is that you don't walk your way off the island. But at some point here, he's going to have to learn that the scouting report is going to get out on him here. And it's going to just be slider away until
my boy Gavin Sheets felt that today.
Yeah. Up until he learns to take that pitch and lay off and get himself into quality hitters counts where he can do damage against fastballs, it's going to be problematic for him. So at some point, Jose Abreu, or someone is going to have to sit him down and say, hey, you got to start taking these pitches here and don't dial back the aggressiveness to the point where it's detrimental to you here. But just because the ball makes it 60 feet 6 inches on the fly doesn't mean you have to swing at it.
I'm with him, with Steve there.
But guys, like, there's another thing with the White Sox, and this could be another 30-minute segment. Breaking pitches low and away for like most of the White Sox hitters is just a fucking problem. Outside of Yasmani Grandal, outside of Yasmani Grandal and Yohan Moncada, Jose Abreu, Eloy Jimenez, Luis.
Look, it's a problem. It's a problem for most of Major League Baseball. For being totally honest, we have reached a point where there are more breaking pitches being thrown league wide than there are fastballs, and that's happening for a reason. Just because of the tunneling and all of the pitch design that is taking place at the pitch labs across the country that guys are utilizing in the offseason here to make pitches and make the sliders in particular come out of that same arm slot as the fastball. But, Jose Abreu has actually done a better job at that. I mean, he's got a career high walk rate right now, and
He
the
does.
quality of the at bats
He's
that we're seeing
mastered
out of
that.
him.
I want him to share his hashtag knowledge.
Well,
I agree.
Tony. It comes down to approaches. It comes down to when you're going up to the dish. Now, granted, I haven't seen 90-mile-per-hour sliders in my life. Like that, just like I don't know what that looks like coming out of the hand. But what I do know is when you step into the
Let me
box.
tell you, Sean, you're gonna need a new pair of shorts.
But like,
guys, I stood in the box with it one time at practice when I was in college against a guy that was a lefty specialist in the major leagues, and let me tell you, I was terrified.
yeah, I can't imagine. Like, it comes down to approach though with me. And if you look at how these guys. There's nothing more frustrating, right, than watching a Luis Robert or a Yoan Moncada or Yasmani Grandal watch a fastball at 93 miles an hour go right down the middle, right? And then the next pitch is a slider low and away, and they're swinging out of their shoes. Like, so I don't know if it's an approach. I don't know if it's a film thing. Because up and down this lineup, these guys struggle, like you said, Tony, and I don't know the fix to that. I don't know, like maybe they do need to sit down and talk with Jose Abreu because he has done a better job. But Luis Robert is the king of it. Yoan Moncada, there's a lot of issues going on
You
now.
haven't watched much Eloy lately.
Well, that he needs to be on the field too. But like
You got a feed down to Charlotte in the garage, Anthony.
I'm working on it.
He's got the the minor league baseball package for MLB TV. But no, it comes down to approach. And again, I don't know what it looks like, so it's hard for me to critique here, but I always will be the person that these guys are making millions and millions of dollars to hit baseballs for a living. So figure it the fuck out.
Makes sense, Sean.
It
sounds simple on paper,
right? Right.
So, just for the sake of time here, boys, Sox jump out to the lead in the 7th. The Rangers were able to respond. At this point in the ball game, you're kind of thinking, just over the course of the year, at least for me, it's always something like this has to be hard. And that's when things broke out in the bottom of the 8th for the White Sox. They put up a big fucking crooked number and score 5. Take me through the bottom of the 8th. Steve, Sean, I'll give you guys the floor.
Just let me start off by saying I love crooked numbers. They're my favorite. What we really saw in that inning was better at bats, a better overall plate approach, getting themselves into hitters' counts and looking to do damage. But moreover than that, Chris Woodward, I don't know what you're thinking bringing in a left-handed reliever against the White Sox. It's almost laughable at this point that any major league manager would use a left-handed reliever against this team, given the difficulties that they have overall against right-handed pitching. So thank you, first of all. Feel free to do that again tomorrow if the opportunity presents itself. But we just saw in that particular inning there, they did a better job of taking pitches and getting themselves into quality hitters counts. And, hey, Danny Mendick then, the guy that we've talked a lot about here, maybe in the last week or so, Anthony, going kind of putting the punctuation mark on this game, launching the ball into the seats. You love fireworks. I love fireworks when it is a result of a White Sox player hitting the ball out of the ballpark and running around the bases. Those are the only fireworks I care about, if I'm being totally honest with you. And just give me that instant offense. Give me more of that. Let's go.
Yeah, the approaches at the plate were a lot different that inning. I loved what I seen out of Yasmani Grandal, who, like we've been talking about, is he
hashtag back?
I need some consistency, but tonight was a great step towards that. And him going opposite field there, taking I believe it was a up and away fastball. I can't remember the exact pitch, but going the opposite way there, that's when you can say he had the base hit earlier in the game as well. That started it all off. And so when you're going up the middle and you're going the opposite way, those are usually really good signs that things are starting to turn. You go to the Yoan Moncada at bat, he goes up the middle, right? Like, so I know we hear Benetti and Stone talk about it on the broadcast all the time. We all know this team's only going to go as far as guys like Grandal, Mancada, Abreu, Luis, Anderson, Eloy coming back. Like, those guys are going to have to perform. They have to, or we will not be celebrating the division title. We won't be celebrating anything. This season will end the first couple days in October. I love the approaches that inning. Need to see more of it. Danny Mendick, by the way, has played himself into the starting second base role, in my opinion. When Tim Anderson comes back, I think Jake Berger moves to your DH, and you figure out when Eloy gets back up here, when he does, what you're going to do in left field. But I really like Berger and Mendick on this team, and I like what I've seen from Danny. Danny's taken his opportunity, and he's fucking ran with it, and you have to respect that. Same thing with Jake Berger. And Josh Harrison's playing for his job. I don't know what you do at Leary. He's going to stay on the team, obviously. The dude just signed a 3-year deal. But I just really impressed with Danny Mendick, man. I really like the kid.
Guys, I think that this is the perfect storm for this White Sox team, and this is why I said on the show a couple weeks ago, the season's going to end in one of two ways. It's either going to be very fucking cinematic, and you're going to have all of the fireworks and flash and bang, and Steve's probably going to fly out to wherever the White Sox clinch the division. We're going to have a fun time through the playoffs. Things are going to be good, or it's going to crash and burn. I felt like last night was the turning of the page. I discussed my conspiracy theories with you before we got on this show.
Yeah, come on, Tony. Come on, let's go.
I'm not ready to drop them for the listeners just yet. We'll get this same crew together in a couple of games, and we'll go there. That's just
you want to do okay. So a couple games,
yeah, a couple games.
Okay.
Give it a couple games. I think you guys.
I wanted to give it. I wanted a couple weeks, but all right.
A couple. It could be a couple games. Could be a couple weeks worth. We'll see what happens. I'll probably drop it next week. You know, it's very meatballish, but in all seriousness, you've kind of got the perfect storm of this turning the page. Strength of schedule changes. You weathered the storm, so to speak, to get through that point. You got Lance Lynn coming back. Tim Anderson's coming back. The guy that replaced Tim Anderson and Danny Mendick is getting high praise on this show right now. You've got the Jake Berger problem. They're going to have decisions to make. To me, the rest of this season is largely in Rick Hahn's hands. Who's he sending down? Who's he keeping up? If we want to be serious here for a second, we talked about the crooked numbers. The White Sox won this game. I don't know if we're going to get back to it or not, because I feel like this is the most important topic to talk about. The roster construction through the rest of this season is going to determine how the White Sox finish and how they set themselves up for October. Your rotation's finally taking shape. Can Joe Kelly get fucking healthy for your bullpen so that you have Graveman and Kelly setting up Liam Hendricks against a bunch of teams that you can beat on a nightly basis? Should beat, can beat, hopefully will beat. This division is theirs for the taking. Vegas knows shit. There's a reason the White Sox haven't gone plus numbers in Vegas so far for their division. This is it right here. It's on the table. I've said it fucking a million times on this show. It's not about winning the division. It's not about making the playoffs and getting swept out in the first round. I want an ALCS appearance this year. I know you guys do as well. I don't know if you're going to win the World Series. I think you guys know as well as I do. Whoever gets hot for 2 weeks in October is going to take it home. That's what you have to do, and you have to give yourself a shot to get there. I think the White Sox still have the opportunity to do so, but it's going to largely remain on how do you get Jake Berger in the lineup when you have Eloy Jimenez, AJ Pollock, Adam Engel. How do you maneuver all of these things
Andrew
to
Vaughn.
be Andrew Vaughn is actually, Sean, the key that I wanted to talk about here. Because if Jake Berger's swinging a hotter bat than Andrew Vaughn and Eloy's back, how do you make that happen? How do you get there if Danny Mendick has proved himself to be your starting second baseman? You are literally a starting second baseman away because you can shift around AJ Pollock and Eloy Jimenez. We've got to make the right decisions here with the bats and the defense. That's on Rick Hahn right now, and this is a critical moment of how you play this. Does
I
a
think
trade happen?
I think
Do
you're
you
making
move-
one faulty assumption, though, Anthony. The assumption that you can rely and count on Eloy Jimenez to be in the lineup. For one, that's an issue. Two, if you go back and look at his last 250 plate appearances, he's not been good offensively. So
This is a guy that you said could hit 45 home runs.
I
You
did,
not want
yeah.
him in your lineup at this point.
I
Do
did,
you
but-
try and make a trade, Steve? That's what I'm talking about here.
Does
What can
anyone
you
take
shore
him
up?
right now?
There's no value there right now. The fact of the
Besides
matter,
his contract, I think his
Right.
contract is valuable.
you're
So
selling.
can you
what-
shut him down for the rest of the year? Is shutting Eloy Jimenez down for the rest of the year
not
because
gonna
you've
do
got
that.
these stuff?
They're not
You're
gonna
not
do
going to.
You have to. What you have to ultimately do is you have to play matchups. You have to mix and match depending on opposition, depending on who.
Okay,
is
so I'm the
starting.
biggest Tony La Russa supporter,
Right,
that's
and
on
so
this
that's,
show.
that's exactly
Steve,
look. That's exactly
so
where I was
do
going.
you trust
Anthony.
Tony La Russa to do that? If people wanted to go on Twitter today and say the reason that the White Sox line up the way it was is because Rick Hahn or someone in the front office took it out of his hands. If you
I don't
want to
buy
make
that
the
for- I
real
don't buy that
Carlos
for a
Pena
fucking
move,
minute. I don't buy that for a fucking
don't-
minute.
I don't either. But Steve, if you
That
want to
would
make
that
if
would
it-
make someone in management have balls, and none of them have balls. So
Sean, wow, it's Friday night. Let's go, Steve.
I'm just saying.
The real Carlos Pena we traded you move is to get rid of Eloy Jimenez, and that's a fucking screaming hot take coming from me right now. But what are you going to do? I would rather have Andrew Vaughn in this lineup and Jake Berger over Eloy Jimenez just because I know the availability standpoint of Eloy Jimenez is not going to be there. And you can make the same argument for Yohan Moncada. I know it sounds wild and people don't want to hear it, but do they have the balls to do it? And Sean says no already. So I'll toss it back to you guys. Let me know what you think.
I mean, look, I've been saying for a couple of weeks now that I believe in the offseason, they are going to have to do something bold to shake up this roster group because it is a faulty roster construction. And the problem that they are ultimately going to run into is that you have guys like Moncada, like Eloy, that simply are not living up to the prospect pedigree that has surrounded them. And they have these contracts that simply they're not performing up to. And in Eloy's case, particularly, the availability issue is a significant problem. So you're going to be selling low on a guy like him. So frankly, I don't know what you do. Honestly, the easiest thing to fix this situation would be Jose Abreu retiring at the end of the season. That would make this problem kind of go away.
It'd make
And
it easier.
It would help significantly. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. That remains to be seen. But if that
I don't
doesn't,
think that's happening.
but I mean, if that doesn't happen, something is going to have to change because there is going to have to be a shakeup to some degree of this quote unquote core group that was talked about. And I've used this analogy in recent weeks. You go back and you look at the 2004 Ginger Sox that broke their 86-year curse. When at the trade deadline, when they made the 3-team deal with the Expos and with some other National League team, and they sent fan favorite Nomar Garciaparra packing, and then they brought in Orlando Cabrera to shore up their defense at short. And it was a shock to the system for a lot of people at that time because people viewed Noma as the heart and soul of that team. And they went and they shipped him out of town. And then all of a sudden they ended up winning a World Series. Is that what it's potentially going to take for this group to get their asses in gear and turn the tide on this thing and start performing the way that their prospect pedigree said that they were going to.
I'm
I
just
don't
curious
know.
as to who you're contributing Nomar Garcia Parra to on the White Sox.
I can't figure that out right now, if I'm being totally honest with you. It can't be Eloy right now because he's not on the field. And like I said, the production hasn't been there since the pandemic shortened season. So
Well, that's it. When you think of Eloy, though, and I ask this to myself quite a bit when it comes to Eloy Jimenez, and I sit there and I go, I love Eloy. I love his personality. I love everything about him. But what value does he bring to this team? And frankly, there's nothing. Like, he can't play the field. He can't stay on the field. And offensively, like, I think we haven't. Granted, we haven't been able to see him, right? Like, he's not on the field. But when we have, what really is he bringing us? Ground balls to shortstop?
I think your only other name there, Sean, is Yohan Moncada because
it's got to be between one of those two, and I hate saying that, but it has to be.
The problem that comes into play then with Moncada is the fact that next season his salary jumps up to $23 million, and the production level does not warrant that payroll obligation. So
now, I will. What if he gets hot here, right? Like,
if he gets hot, that could change the calculus a little bit.
But if he gets hot, then all of a sudden you want him in the lineup every day. The interesting thing to me here is you have Jake Berger. You want to slot him in at second base. We've all said, like, there's everybody who's sitting there thinking, can you slot Jake Berger in at second base? And I guess the real question is, who wins you more ball games? Unproven Danny Mendick, who's hot right now in the middle of June, versus Jake Berger's bat against Yohan Moncada. Here's a guy with 1 year that's jumped off the page at you. That's not going to be it's not going to be an easy thing to swallow if you're a White Sox fan trying to move Eloy Jimenez or Yohan Moncada. So what's your lesser of two evils here? Where do you feel more confident that you have somebody who's ready to go? Is it Jake Berger at third base and Danny Mendick at second, when you also have Josh Harrison, Lurie Garcia to plug that hole?
I think Josh Harrison is DFA'd in this whole thing.
Or is it, left field, you've got AJ Pollock potentially being able to fill in for Eloy Jimenez? And what's the return is the other thing. What's the value out there on the open market? There's a lot to be evaluated there. But I think this could potentially get very interesting down the stretch here, guys. Like, I really honestly do, because there's a couple of guys that you want to have in your lineup. They've got the pedigree to be there, at least from what they're making on a salary and, what they've been hyped up in the media to be to you as a White Sox fan. And this is all going to come to a head here at the trade deadline.
That's the problem, Tony, is we've been attached and sold these guys for the last, 2017, 2018, like when all these guys got traded to the White Sox or even drafted, right? Like, they got shoved down our throats from the Charlotte Knights Twitter account and this fan base. And I'm included in that, probably you guys too, but like, we become attached to these guys a little bit, right? Like, we put White Sox blinders on a little bit, and it gets really hard when you have to have those tough conversations. Like, you have to look at it from the outside in and go, if I'm an outsider, I'm going, okay, yeah, I've heard the name Eloy Jimenez, but like, what the hell has he done? If I'm an outsider, I'm going, I've heard of Yohan Moncada. I know he was a big part of that Chris Sale trade way back when, but like, what the hell has he done? Now we're attached to it because we watch it on a nightly basis, right? Like, we know these guys inside and out. So we sit here and go, oh man, I don't want to get rid of Eloy. I don't want to get rid of Yohan. Like, those are the guys that the parade was supposed to be around those guys.
Yes. That's
right.
That's the biggest problem.
It's the breakup with the girlfriend, and you get broken up with, and you start going, well, I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with that. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. It's the same thing. Like, we're attached. if Yohan Moncada or Eloy Jimenez gets traded, we're going to go, well, that wasn't part of the plan. They were supposed to be here for the good times. Well, the problem is the good times are supposed to be happening and they aren't performing for the good times. And you have to, something's got to give here. Either they need to get hot and earn their spot on this team, because I'll tell you what, Jake Berger and Danny Mendick have earned their spot on this team. They have. So eventually someone's got to look someone in the mirror or in the face here and go, listen, like, it is what it is. You ain't it, dude. Like, I will take 1,000,000 Jake Bergers. And I'll take 1,000,000 Jake Bergers over Yohan Moncada. And there's a lot of reasonings behind that. And I love Yohan. But some people earn their spot on this roster, and some people just aren't performing. They're not performing. And I'm not going to say they don't care, because I know they care, but like, I'll take dudes that want to fucking earn their spot.
I agree with you, Sean, 100%. And I think that that's the hardest conversation, just like anything in life. Sometimes you look at whatever's going on, whether that's in the workplace, relationships, friendships, whatever it is, attachments to your heroes. I'm sure Steve's been burned by a wrestler before. Like,
no,
not once.
Never. That would never happen. Scott Hall never let me down.
That's just the hardest thing, right? Like, how do you get past that to know that it's for the better? And I feel like we as White Sox fans at this point, Sean, and I think you really like summarized this well. We've been sold these guys.
These are our guys, right? Like,
there were shirts that were printed by NBC that was like Kopech and Madrigal and
the
Lopez,
rebuild's coming.
And this is coming.
There was a shirt with Madrigal on it.
There probably was. You still see people right now like that were attached to Nick Madrigal as White Sox
Yeah, they're
fans.
no longer scouting directors.
Yeah, and they're no longer scouting. But that's the hard part. That's the hard part. Eloy Jimenez is supposed to hit 45 home runs for the White Sox. He's supposed to. But maybe Dylan Cease winds up the guy that you traded Jose Quintana for. Maybe Michael Kopech winds up the guy that you traded Chris Sale for. It's hard to eat that, though, because 20,000 people fucking walked up to see Yohan Moncada take that walk, and they stood there. And it was a symbol of hope. And in the grand scheme of things, fandoms ride just like every other single group of people ride for the same mentality. And it's what's sold to you. And what was sold to us is some of these guys were going to be there at the parade.
The good times.
The good times. Yohan Moncada was the symbol of White Sox hope. The dude's hitting under 200 right now. Yeah, he plays some good defense. I asked Johnny last night, is he a platoon player? Is that what you traded Chris Sale for?
If Yohan Moncada is a platoon player, yes, holy shit.
And then I saw something wild the other day. It's like, what's the worst trade Rick Hahn ever made? It's got to be the Tatis. Like, what if Michael Kopech doesn't pan out? Sure, the fuck looks like he will, but there was a lot of questions about him if you rewind 2 years.
Yeah.
This is all risk. Everything that happens in this game is all risk. Same way that Tony La Russa walked Trey Turner on 1-2, it's risk.
No, that was stupidity. That wasn't risk.
Fucked up. And he fucked up. But that's like, I wish people looked at the gamble of trading some of these guys at the same risk that somebody made on something that was dumb and boneheaded at one point in time.
Listen, I'm sure
every decision, butterfly effect, is cool and tough. We're off the rails here, but holy shit, man. Like, that's the difference between flags flying forever and no flag at all. We're going to have an unhappy winner and White Sox Twitter is going to fucking melt. That's what it comes down to, at least in my mind.
Yeah, I know. Listen, people are going to listen to this and watch this, and they're going to be like, "These three are talking about trading Yohan Moncada and Eloy." Listen, like, that's not what I want. It's not I want Yohan Moncada to get just fucking on fire right now and like shut me up. I want Eloy to come off the IL or at least to like be healthy for a week and hit bombs. Like I want all that. I don't want
healthy
these
for a week is a really low bar. Can you like give me like at least a month?
give me 2 weeks, Eloy, before you run into a net and then you're on the 10-day IL. Like I want these guys to succeed. You guys want these guys to succeed. We all want these guys to succeed, but it's just not happening. And some of it is injury, like hardship, right? Like Eloy can't stay healthy. Yohan Moncada, I don't know. I've been wondering that for the last 3-4 years. I don't know. But I want these guys to be here. But Steve, you brought it up with like something's going to have to give here soon because of the way this roster is constructed. And I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, and I'm not smart enough to know the answer at this point.
We're not getting paid millions of dollars to figure it out, right?
No, we're not. Like I said, I mean, it would make things a lot easier if this team could find a way to win a World Series. Then Jose Abreu rides off into the sunset, and then you just kind of sort it out from there. But
depending on who you ask, Jose Abreu is supposed to win the World Series with the Chicago White Sox.
I mean, I would love that. I've been to one championship parade in my life. I would love to go to another one before I die in the next 30 years. So,
Didn't get out to many Hawks rallies, I see.
Unfortunately, I mean, I did not, but I made sure to prioritize the Sox one.
Been to 3 Hawks ones, never been to a Sox one, Steve, and I'm hoping to get there. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah, I got like 30 years left in me. Let me get one more in me.
The 05 one was junior year of high school, and it was first round of Illinois high school football playoffs. And if we were not at school that day, we were not able to dress and go and play. So I had to eat it and sit at school while everyone got to enjoy the parade. So I need a World Series so I can come home.
Do you still hold resentment over your coach for that one?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like trust me, like I sit there and I always see like the highlights. I've talked to Jermaine Dye about this. Like it's one of my, I would say I don't have a lot of regrets, but it might be a top 5 for sure that I was unable to go and enjoy that parade.
I feel the same way, and that's why I want it so much, and that's why there's so much emotion behind it. I'm sure everybody who tunes into this is going to have that. Sox win by a final of 8-3. We went off the rails, and we went into some deep. We went deep tonight on Friday. All 3 of us went deep on just what it is to be a White Sox fan right now, and I love that, guys. We're approaching the hour mark, so we're going to shut this down. We've got a baseball game tomorrow to watch. Do we have picks to click? Steve, I'll turn it to you.
We got lefty Martin Perez on the mound, so the lefty special. Andrew Vaughn. He's put one in the bleachers tomorrow. You heard it here first. Book it.
I'm going to go Yohan Moncada. That is if he's in the lineup. I would assume he is, but I don't know. He feels like he plays one game and then he sits 3. So
it's hard to tell these days.
It really is, though, to make these like day before
be
predictions. I'll go with Moncada, though.
You stole mine. But, hey, that's what happens. I'd like to go like just on the back end here, Jake Berger or Danny Mendick, but you also don't know if they're going to be in the lineup.
Yeah. I wanted to go Mendick,
so I'll take the easy one, the Family Guy, Jose Abreu, MVP shit tomorrow.
That's right. We always know I'll be in the lineup.
Yeah, you just got to take the safe pick, right? Like you get to a point where your picks get stolen, and you got to go Jose Abreu because he's going to be in the lineup. So Jose Abreu for me. And that's what it is. Steve, you previewed the pitching matchup there for a second, but I think this is going to be a special pitcher's duel tomorrow of some sorts. Do you want to have any further comment on what we're going to see on the mound tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's also gelato day on the south side. So hopefully that gelato is extra smooth, extra creamy. And, let's go out there, pump strike one early and often. Use that high fastball changeup mix, sprinkle that slider in there, three pitch mix, Lucas. Go after these guys right away. Stay off the fat part of the bat against Corey Seager, Marcus Simeon. Let's go get a dub 2 in a row. Win a series.
Yeah, I think real quick to finish on Lucas, finish your outing. Like, enough of this. You go 4, you go 5, and then you have blow up inning. Like, finish your outing, get through 6, turn it over to the pen.
You guys have convinced me that good hands Reese McGuire is going to be catching tomorrow. That's all we have today for Sox on Tap. Be sure you're checking out ontapsportsnet.com for all of your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. You can catch Besnick's post-game articles. He's got to be happy. Steve and I have willed into existence a few White Sox winners.
When Besnick is happy, we're all happy.
So at Sox Insane on Twitter doesn't go actually insane. We've got White Sox winners for you to read about. You can follow me at Tony on Tap on Twitter. You can follow NWI Steve at NWI_Steve and Sean at Sean23 Roberts. This was fun, guys. Friday night fun. White Sox win. Fireworks for Tony.
It's # fireworks for Tony.
It's fantastic. Guys, thank you for joining me to talk for an hour about a White Sox winner. It's just so much
deep.
better. The beers taste better. It got deep tonight.
We're trading prospects. We're trading stars.
Ball go far. Team go far. We went deep
confirmed.
tonight. We went deep tonight for everybody. Guys, let's close it down how we always do. White Sox forever.
Forever.
White Sox for life.